So it was with Faye we were having the conversation about women, what is being done for women, especially where women didn't have job opportunities, they were not doing anything, and we as women are sometimes seen just as for making children. I think things are changing a bit now, but that was how it was in 2016 when we looked at things. Not many women had opportunities. So we thought we need to have a women's movement because sometimes women are having children. I think children are a blessing, but then when you have too many children, it's very hard because of the financial challenges. You have to find food for them, clothes, you have to educate them. So we were looking at that, and so we said, how about we form a movement? And she said, yes, let's do it. So we started that way in 2016. We keep talking about it. We attended different forums. There was a forum that was held by the National Social Council for Indigenous Women. We also attended that. And then in 2019, we did a report, a shadow report to the CEDA committee, which is the committee on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. So when we looked at issues across the Wapichan territory and, spoke to women and listened to them, then realized the the amount of hardships, not just education, not just health, but other issues that arise. So from there, we were able to have a shadow report developed with the SRDC, which was then I would say submitted to the CEDA committee, and I went to Switzerland in 2019 to give an oral presentation to CEDA committee, and that was then you looking at these issues, you have our report, and then you're looking, and then you realize that there's so many things that are not happening for women, especially as it relates to discrimination, violation of rights, not just in indigenous communities, not just in the Wapichan territory, but across Guyana. And I think that is something that really, changed the way the Wapichan Wiizi women's movement wanted to do things. And so that's how we began. And then came the pandemic immediately, which sets us way back again, even though we have, we're talking about gender equality, advancing gender equality, but then you have this whole setback where, again, women now, you went into isolation, you have the rise of domestic violence because now you're at home, you're not at work, you're more in the home with your abuser. And so all of these things came. So we applied for a small funding, which we heard of from someone, I remember her name, um, from the Canadian High Commission. Um, she said that there was a funding for Caribbean women to do work on gender-based violence and then domestic violence, it was known as. So we applied. That was our very first proposal, and we applied, and we were successful to begin work. Even during the pandemic, when we had to wear masks, we started work in communities with women. And because of that funding opportunity, it was a 3-year project, so we were able to cover all 21 communities. It was not a lot of money, but we were able to stretch that money to all 21 communities, and we got the work done. We topics that we look at were like gender concepts. We look at sustainable development. We look at the livelihoods of women. We look at the social issues. We did climate change. We also did some children's rights. So we did a range of topics with that money that we were given from the Equality Fund. Then it was under the Women Voice and Leadership Caribbean. We trained local women. 10 of us were trained on the different topics that I spoke about. Thankfully, the Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, the Gender Affairs Bureau, they were very supportive. So they also trained us. We had someone from there. We had someone from the Red Thread training. We had people who were able to train us because they have been doing the work on the coastal areas more. So they have that experience. So they were able to train us. And then we were trained here, and we wanted to have that knowledge within the Wapichan territory, not someone else coming to train us from elsewhere, but we wanted to build that capacity, and that we were able to do. And ever since, we have been doing work, so we have more women now. I think we are about 15 women now who are trained locally, and we're able to facilitate workshops in our communities in a language that our people can also understand.
So basically, your advice for communities who may want to follow the same way, but not sure how to go about doing it. How do women get together and form a group by themselves and start to advocate and so for themselves?
I think the one thing is getting together, getting like-minded persons who are interested in community development and who love their community, because you have to be community grounded, and that is something very important. You have to love your people. You have to love traveling even on a motorcycle. And once you're able to get people together, invite women, because there are many women who are get them together, come together, have your meeting, discuss among yourself, and see where you want to go. Have like a plan. You have to have a plan, because for us, the Wapichan Wiizi Women's Movement, we do have a strategic plan, and we work under five topical areas. For example, we do gender equality. We have um, economic development. We look at health and environment. We also look at having other workshops for women that are related. So we don't work under culture that much, because already under the SRDC there is a very big arm for culture. There is another arm for other areas of work. So we work under just these five um, areas, topical areas of work. So we have that plan. So you need to have a plan. You have short-term plans, you have long-term plans, and overall, of course, you need to have a goal of what you really want to achieve. For us in the Wapichan Territory, is ensuring that women are empowered. We have leaders in our community who are women. We can also, we are working towards eliminating violence in our community. So all of these things, you have to be passionate about. You have to want to see that change. It's not, I will tell you, it's not easy. Sometimes I want to tend to give up. I know the women that I work with want to give up, because sometimes you do have negative criticisms, but you can also take that to strengthen yourself. I think that is something I have been doing, to use that to strengthen myself. Also reflect on myself, maybe something I'm not doing right, but then you need to use that, to build your own self and to keep going. So that is something that I do. So I would advise you to get together, find people who want to do the work as you are, and also there are funding opportunities out there. And now, one thing I like is that people call me and say, we have funding for your women's group, apply. So likewise, women, wherever you are across Guyana, come together, form your group, and you can find funding to do work. I always say, even though it might be small to you, but if you can touch one life a day or a year, you're still doing something. You're still changing the world. We know it is really negative at this time. You have a lot of negativity. Our world is, I would say, going backward at times, but we can have these little changes, and they can be very impactful, maybe for others, for your community, for our region, for our country, for our work.